The Wests Tigers podcast is brought to you by the Wests Tigers Podcast Forum. Join the conversation today at weststigerspodcast.com.au.
Episode number 490 of the West Tigers podcast. It is a post-victory edition of the West Tigers podcast. And Josh, I'd completely forgotten. How did we do one of these? It's been so
post
long.
What? Sorry, Joel. What is that you talk of?
This is one of the first post-victory editions you've ever been involved in.
It feels so long. I don't know. I was a different person back then when that was the last one. Yeah.
Some people might have had a birthday. Some people might have got married or had a child or anything in that period of time between wins for the West Tigers.
Mm-hmm. Magical.
The win over the Roosters, 25-24, it headed off a potential 9th straight loss for the club. So before we go into one word, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions, Josh. The first question is, how important was that 1 point win for not just the team, not just the coach, but for the West Tigers organisation?
Hugely important, Joel. I think everyone, said 9 losses in a row, but also all the other things that had kind of engulfed the club in the meantime. I think, every Tigers fan and probably everyone working at the club and everyone connected to the club is walking on air and just a little bit more relaxed and a little bit more, even if we lose the last 2 going into the end of the season now, we're not going in with 12 losses and, all is doom and gloom. I think that was a massive day for the club. Obviously, we have to follow it up, and it's not everything's solved, but I think everyone needed that associated with the club, and I think it's made us all feel better, and that is what footy's meant to be about. So,
yeah. Absolutely. The world looks different after a West Tigers win. The only thing I'd say is that, in a way, it kind of makes me a little bit more frustrated because it's like, there is a team in there, and they show it at times, but we're just so inconsistent.
Yeah, it's really strange, isn't it? You look at, over the year, and we've beaten the Warriors, who are coming first. We've beaten the Roosters, who were first before this weekend. We've beaten the Cowboys in the top 8. We're beating the Knights, who are in the top 8. We flogged the Knights early in the season. There's the potential there, and I think that's, as we talked about when we were losing the matches, it's what's been one of the frustrating things this year. The potential is there. There's bits there. But how do we put it together over a season? That's something they haven't quite worked out. But there is that frustration of if we can do it in this game away from home against the ladder leaders, then why can't we do it more often? But still, it was good to see. I'd rather that than the other way.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, goodness knows we've had enough misery and sadness in our lives as West Tigers fans. We'll take any little bit of joy we can. It does a little bit kind of lead to something that we've always spoken about on the pod, and that is sometimes for the West Tigers to win, we kind of need a team to not be on their best game. And there was definitely a little bit of that. So we shouldn't get too far ahead of ourselves. It's fantastic and it's awesome and the world is a better place. But, we need to be able to win games where we're actually genuinely playing a team that's turned up and ready to go and come away with the 2 points. And that's still something that we're away from. But we can't quite say we're at that point yet.
We did have some luck. The Roosters probably could have. There were, a few moments they'll definitely look back on across that match and where they had it. I mean, they still completed at 80%. They still made 92% of their tackles. Having a look, so they still did a lot. They weren't at their best, but they weren't horrible either. They weren't, it wasn't horrific play by them. And we, I think that probably for all the other bits, the thing that impressed me most was when Appy tried for that 20-40, and I think it was we probably needed. We then managed to defend 4 sets in a row on our line. That is that for anything. The Roosters are one of the best teams in the comp and probably the best attacking side. We held them out for 4 sets in a row. I couldn't believe it. I thought we were, I wasn't even sure we were wearing the right jersey. I don't know. Incredible.
Yeah, well, that's how NRL games are won, isn't it? When you face some adversity and you turn your opposition away and you manage to do that. through some important key moments in a game, then you give yourself every chance of winning. And it's something that, unfortunately, in our not so great performances, we've compounded, and it goes back to the wooden spoon years. Every time the wind slightly changed direction, we would capitulate and concede 12 or 18 points or whatever, and we were unable to defend and overcome our own mistakes and our own issues. And we did that a few times in the game. So, yeah, there was a lot to take away to be really happy about.
Very much so. Very much so.
What have you got in terms of one word coming out of that game? There's always there's always a big field of potential one words out of a win. What have you got for us?
Elated, excited, magical, wonderful. Look, beating the Roosters is probably one of my favourite things. We've had so many up until the last 2 years. We had so many bad results against the Roosters, and now they haven't beaten the Tigers in 3 years, Joel. Yeah. So, I think it is that 3 years is my one word. It's 3 years since the Roosters have beaten the Tigers. So I think that's a massive highlight for the club after our form against them over so many years was poor, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah. And if aliens came down from space and we had to describe to them what or who the West Tigers were, we would say they're a professional football team that 1 week loses to the Wooden Spooners and then the next week beats a genuine premiership contender. I think Nick shared that stat that the last team to beat to lose to the last place team and then turn around the next week and beat the first place team was the Western Suburbs Magpies in 1981. So that is a really random stat. But that is, and they lost
they lost to Balmain, who were coming last at the time, and then beat the Roosters the next week. So it was all. If we'd known that beforehand, it would have been an omen, Joel. So
yeah, exactly. You would have put some money on the Tigers. I'm sure a lot of people who because it was one of those games. I've got to say, like last week, I bounced between we are going to get smashed and we're going to ambush them. And there was a case to be put either way. And as the game went on, I kind of felt like we got better as the game went on, if that makes sense. Like I felt more confidence that we were going to win, other than the last 10 minutes where you kind of feel like the gods are going to be against us and the referee's going to do something silly or something's going to happen. But I think it was just one of those classic West Tigers ambush type games where they came out, they were up against a significantly better team, at least on the table, and really ambushed them. And that is sort of something that West Tigers have done throughout the club's history, haven't they?
Yeah, absolutely. And look, it was good to see. I think after the 60 minutes when Appy scored, and despite the fact we'd missed a lot of conversions by them, but we're up to 24 points. I kind of said to when I was watching it with, I said, I don't actually care if we lose. Like I want us to win.
I'd rather win.
But we've come out and put an absolute great performance against the top of the table side here. So give them credit, and I kind of, history made me feel like we were going to let them come back, and they scored those 2 tries and almost scored another one. But again, we fought back and got the ball and kicked the field goal, and it was a great effort. And there was great efforts all across the field. I thought the play across the field, was it perfect? No, but there was lots of positives across the effort from some players, most players, but some real special efforts across the field. So
yeah, we'll talk about some of those particular efforts that really stood out. And no matter how good you are, losses are part of the game. You are going to lose games, but it's when they're respectable losses, we as fans can go, well, it sucks, it hurts, but it's respectable. So yeah, that's what I felt going through the game. I thought, well, look, even if this doesn't fall our way, at least it's been respectable. So it's a low bar, but that's sort of how I felt towards the end of the game, where it sort of felt like maybe the momentum was slipping away from us. I've got 2 words. I've got needed. I thought it was very, very much needed. But I've also got Lithgow, which is very random, and I'll have to explain that. Josh, you're never going to work that out.
No.
A couple of years ago when the West Tigers were on that horrible losing streak, I think it was the 11 in a row losing streak, and the Tigers were playing in the rain out at Bathurst against the Panthers.
Oh, yes. Yep.
I was in Lithgow when that, and watching the game on TV when that losing streak came to an end. And then I was in Lithgow on Sunday afternoon watching it on TV when that. So if ever we're on a real losing streak, I need to get in the car
to Lithgow,
and
Joel.
go across the Blue Mountains. Yes. So that's funny how the two really memorable wins have come from with me being away. The one-word submissions from the West Tigers podcast forum, we'll quickly run through those and then we'll have a look at some key talking points out of the game. Cade79, this is a controversial take, Josh, and we'll talk about this shortly. No Doueihi equals free-flowing football. And Cade79 adding, we looked much better with Jock straightening the attack. Mike's word was a simple one, woohoo. Mac Tiger, unexpected, tough, proud, relieved, resilient. So we relaxed the one word a fair bit there for Mac Tiger, but all fair enough. Natmac78, disbelief. It's going to take me a few days to fully realise what happened out there. Tigersman, texts. I received so many from non-Tigers friends, to see how and to show how happy they were for me for the win. And that's true. My phone went a little bit crazy after that as well, which is fantastic. And Teddy S, their word was competed, something we haven't done for a minute. We'll circle back around to Adam Doueihi, but you mentioned the Warriors win earlier in the year, Josh. If the season came to an end, that was our last game of the year. Which would you say was the better win? The Warriors game, I think it was on that Friday night over in New Zealand, or the Roosters win at the football stadium after 8 straight losses?
I think I'd take the Warriors win because it was in a flow of us playing good footy, and I think that was probably the best I've seen us step up. I thought the quality we played with that night for the full 80 was probably better.
It was the game that really lifted our expectations.
It was high expectations. And I thought the Warriors played well that night. So I think that was probably, I said before, the Roosters weren't horrible, but I don't think, we all said they weren't at their best. I thought the Warriors actually played really well that night. Like they're not a team that kind of has ups and downs. They played really well, and we just outplayed them. Whereas I think the Roosters were down a little, but to win coming off 8 losses in a row against the team top of the table who'd had 8 wins in a row, it was great. But I think the Warriors game, maybe because of where our season was and how we were feeling around that, was probably better. Whereas I'm coming off a low point, it was very exciting. But I'd rather be at a point where we're still in the competition when we're doing these things. So, yeah. What about you, Joel?
Yeah, both memorable. The Warriors one I really, really enjoyed as well. Like that was just such an unexpected kind of. Most of us expected us to lose that game against the Warriors, traveling over there, and to come away with those 2 points. That was really, really nice. But yeah, any side that has been on a losing streak and finally breaks it, let alone against a top team, it's pretty sweet as well. So. Different sorts of wins, so hard to say one is better than the other. I know that, as I said, our expectations and our confidence grew a lot out of the Warriors. It was a little bit of a false dawn. So I'm going to go the Roosters, just because of the context of a slightly weakened team coming off a losing streak and to beat them on their home turf and for them to be so cocky and think they're just going to turn up and win. That was very, very nice.
And so, Joel, if the Roosters play the Warriors in the grand final, can we officially say we are the best team in the comp? I think that's what that will mean. Roosters play Warriors. Tigers are the best team in the comp. We've beaten both of them. So.
With a little asterisk next to it, but we did lose twice to the wooden spoon.
Yeah. Both the best and the worst team in the comp. So
exactly. Yeah. I think I said at the beginning of the season, if we're going to make the finals, we've got to do 2 things. We've got to beat the teams that are below us, and we've got to avoid a long losing streak. And we've done both, unfortunately. Because I think the other teams around us, we lost to the Broncos, we lost twice to the Dragons, we lost once to Parramatta. There's 8 points straight off.
Yep.
And if we'd picked up a couple of wins, if we'd beaten the Dragons twice, we played them towards the end of the season, the whole conversation that we're having tonight is totally different.
Yeah, there's a bunch of results across the year that, I mean, and every team has close games, so it's
Yeah.
not, but there's a bunch of results where you look at where we go, well, we could have or perhaps should have won those
Mm.
over the year in different circumstances. And partly injuries may have caused that. I mean, there's also a bunch where we've been flogged, so I
Yeah.
kind of got to remember that. But yeah, I think this, if I look over the season, there's some promise, but there's also how do you do that on a regular basis, and that's the difference between finals teams and
Mm.
non-finals teams is being able to
But
do it.
if I look at the team that's currently in eighth position in the Cowboys, and I compare the Cowboys of 2026 to the West Tigers of 2026, and I think those two teams at full strength played each other 10 times, I think it'd probably work out five wins each. I don't think they're a significantly better team than us,
No, I
and
agree.
that's frustrating.
Yeah, it is frustrating. I think that's um, and I can kind of excuse. It's funny if I look at our season, I can kind of excuse some of those games in the middle where we got well beaten because we were just so down on troops.
Yeah.
Like it's more that kind of probably from the second Knights game on, we lost to the Knights, lost to the Dragons, got
Mm.
put away by the Warriors, got flogged by Canberra, and those last 2 weeks before this one where we lost close games against Eels and Dragons like that. It's been this run of
Mm.
these kind of games that has
Hmm.
probably been where it's fallen over. I can excuse more of the early ones where we're just totally devoid of troops, and you go, well, the side
Yeah.
we're putting on the field,
Yeah.
it like yes, maybe we shouldn't have got beaten by as much, but you were still going to get beaten because you just
Mm.
weren't putting a good enough team on the field. So,
Mm.
and hey, it'd be
Well,
interesting.
if we were sitting on 28 points now, we wouldn't be going, well, we wouldn't be talking about the Penrith flogging. We wouldn't be talking about the Cronulla flogging. We'd say, well, that's just part of the context of the season where we were
Season.
down on troops and played a red hot team.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's been a weird season in that regard. Just, I think I know we've had a 1 point win and things are looking a little bit brighter, but I can't help but feel really frustrated by this year in that we set it up and just couldn't go on with it. And if we'd just won 3 out of those 8 games, if we'd been able to find a way, then things would be that run would potentially be over, the run of outs of finals. But anyway,
Yeah. Yeah.
Adam Doueihi. Does that, I mean, we looked at the stats last week with Jock, and I'm not advocating for Jock to be the long term halfback at the West Tigers, but the stats tell a story there in regards to our wins with Jock Madden at halfback. There has to be something in that, Josh.
Um, yeah, I mean, you pick a halfback to play halfback, and things go well. And it's not to me Adam versus Jock. I've heard that little bit of noise over the last few
Yeah,
days. It's
yeah,
actually because the team did well when they had Jock and Adam in
mm,
the halves, and they've done reasonably well when they've had Jock and Jerome in the halves. And it's as you said, I'm not necessarily saying that Jock's a long-term NRL level halfback, but I think having a proper halfback who creates some space and digs into the line
mm, mm,
and does all those halfback things with a bit of accuracy and consistency, it allows the rest of the team to look better. So if I ignore that, Jock doesn't have to do amazing things. And so I don't think it's necessarily Adam. It's the fact that you're playing 2 5/8s. I think we've proved this year that
mm,
it just doesn't work.
mm,
And that's, it's something the club's got to think about going in the next season. I know Jerome's gone, but um, I don't think it's necessarily that Adam and Jock can't work as a combination, and maybe it's a half any genuine half that we need a genuine halfback. I think
mm,
that's what it is, and that you can steer a team around the field, you can dig into the line and create space. It wasn't that Jock was doing necessarily amazing things, but you saw him go to the line. He goes like his play is he goes very deep into the line and then
yeah,
throws a pass with a bit of depth, and you saw that just
mm,
created room for Buller. It created room for it even created room for Appy coming off him, but
yeah,
Sakuru for Herbert. Like it created room for Harv for the centers and outside backs who had been cramped, honestly, on both sides, but by Jerome and Adam, they've been
yeah,
cramped all
yeah,
week.
yeah,
And yet you put a halfback in there and it makes your 5/8s look better too, because
mm,
I don't think Jerome had a great game, but there were times when it opened up the field for him,
correct.
and then it opened up the players around them. And I think so. Look at the moment, if I'm looking at it, um, I'm going into next season though with Jock at halfback on the current players that's there in our team.
Okay,
He's a halfback.
yeah,
Like until someone else shows they can be a
mm,
halfback,
mm,
um, I've got to go into the season with him because, we've won 6 of our 8 wins have been with a genuine halfback. And so till we find someone else, now Latu or someone can show they're a genuine halfback, all good. But at the moment, I think Jock's got to be the starting halfback because I'm not sure we have another starting halfback.
Which then leaves you with Doueihi on the pod last week. You and Nick were talking about Doueihi being like a right side 5'8". Does that work? Do you think that you could go with that combination, a 7 and 6?
I think Adam and Jock played some good, like when we were winning earlier in the season, Adam and Jock played some really good games together and made an impression. I think you could go with that. I think a ball playing lock would add to that. Which is an interesting who that is and what that looks like, and
Yeah.
you know, um, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out over the off season because I think you could go with that. Then Latu, but if I was to put Latu in, it's got to be instead of Adam if he's playing 5'8", like as a 5'8". I need a halfback, and would I like a better halfback than Jock? Yeah, but we don't have one, and so he to me is the only guy who is a genuine number 7, and it showed again on the weekend that how much better the rest of it's not about him necessarily, it's about how much better the rest of the side looks with someone there, so who can play halfback. So the moment it'd be Jock at halfback and then whoever looks best at 5'8" outside him. So
yeah, Andrews, Doueihi or Latu.
yeah.
Yeah, that's going to be one of the talking points of the off season.
Yeah.
See who's going to be in the 7 and 6 for round 1 next year for
and
Vegas.
the 13. I think the 6, 7, and 13.
Yeah.
That combination is going to be the talking point, I think, around the side. The rest is fairly settled, I would suggest, unless we make some dramatic signings between now and next year. So.
And that's to say that you're probably expecting Brayley to be 14.
Yeah.
Not 13.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll watch and wait. I was thinking about SukkarAnd and Javon Andrews. They formed that really good combination in New South Wales Cup. But I think first grade, just as a thought off the top of my head, first grade, both of them on the left side of the field is probably defensively going to be a bit of an issue, at least in the short to mid term, I would say. So we're probably not going to see that at any point.
I think SukkarAnd's had a good, it's been good to see him in and getting a chance. And in attack, he's definitely got some nice hands. And
he holds his own in attack.
Runs hard. But his defense, and this is what I saw watching him cut, someone's got to tell him he's allowed to use his shoulder when he tackles and not just reach out with 2 hands and try to tackle people with hands because there were a lot of occasions where he was getting, and there has been in both games where people have run through and all he's got is 2 hands on them and tried to pull them down. And maybe when you're 120 kilos and 6'3" and muscly, he's been able to do that coming through the grades and has just not had to put the shoulder in because it's not. Yeah, I don't think that then you put a kid at 19 at a halfback or 5'8" inside him. Yeah, that's a recipe for trouble. So,
yeah, that's look. I hope we hold on to SukkarAnd. I've seen a lot that I like.
Me too.
But I think giving him the other. I would absolutely 1,000% give him the last 2 games of the season.
Yeah,
that'd take him to 4 first grade games, and then pop him back and continue the development for another half a season, hopefully in New South Wales Cup, and then see where he's at.
And you got
it would be a terrible shame to put all the development that we've put into him and then let him go.
Correct. We've had him in the first grade, the top 30 for 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
And we've finally come in, and he's, as you said, in attack, he's shown a lot of promise, and young blokes coming into first grade for a few games, you're going to have some ups and downs, and it's probably good timing at the end of the season for him to go and do an off season coming off 4 first grade games and going, okay, I've got stuff to work on, and I've seen it in first grade.
Yep.
It's probably a great time for him, and he's looks like he's fully fit. He'll have a full off season. I think there's a lot of benefits for him to come in and be that backup left center behind Taylor May. So yeah, I think hopefully that happens. So hopefully we keep him.
The other side of the field, how good did Patrick Herbert go? And I was skeptical about Patrick Herbert, but that has turned out to he's probably been correct me if I'm wrong, I can't think of anybody else, but I think he's been our KPP, obviously without the injury, would be up there, of course, for buy of the year. But Patrick Herbert, certainly at least the value buy of the year, Josh.
Yep, Joel. And I believe at the start of the season we were talking about would Paddy Herbert play first grade, and I said he'd play about 12 or 13 games, and he's on. Let me just
He'd be on
check.
about 9?
He is on 11
11, okay.
as of this week, so he'll hit 13 at the if he gets both games in. Um, Look for a guy who's effectively a backup center and was driving a Bobcat this time last year. Um, he is really put in, and he look he makes an effort in defense. He's not like his tackles are proper tackles. He doesn't miss a heap. His positioning is not perfect. He runs hard. And he does some special. I mean,
Mm.
that's what he did when he was at the Gold Coast. He does some
Mm.
special little things. Is he
Mm.
a consistent star? No, but
Yeah, is he your first choice right center? No.
no. But as a second choice, I
Mm.
think I think he's definitely proved his worth this year. I think of all the blokes who've come up for depth in our squad this year, he's probably the one who you can say, well, he actually did his job as a depth player coming in. So
Well, he's the only one that's had any real experience.
yeah,
I mean,
that's what.
Suka's got a little bit of experience. Suka's getting better the more he
Mm,
plays, and
yep.
give Suka 60 first grade games,
Yeah,
and he'll come in and do a really good job. He's getting there. He impressed me a fair bit yesterday. A couple
me
of
too.
really important tackles,
Couple of
one
try
particular
savers, I
try
thought.
saver.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yep.
But I think there's a blueprint there for Patrick Herbert for West Tigers, and that is that we need to have 5 guys that are sitting there. I know we've spoken about this before, but 5 guys that are sitting there in New South Wales Cup that have played 50 or 60 first grade games that can come in and do their job. They don't
Yep.
have to be world beaters, but they have to come in and do their job and hold the fort.
Yeah, you need a bit of depth, and it's probably kind of as you said. It's you have a winger slash fullback, you have a center,
Yep.
you have
A
someone in the
half of
halves,
some
which is
sort. Yep.
probably Jock's probably, and
Yeah.
that's probably the other one who's done the thing,
Yep.
and you have a second rower or two, kind of second rower and a bench prop or something, and come in and
Yeah.
Bunty's kind of the equivalent there. I don't think in the back row we've had that. I don't think in
Mm.
some of the other outside backs we've had that kind of person there. I think there's probably 2 or 3 kind of additions we need to make with the. And look, the club has signed like that's what Brayley is. I think
Mm.
that's give him credit. That's what Brayley is. The talk Kurt man. That's kind of what he is.
Yeah.
Guys who have been through 6 or 7 off seasons at least,
Mm.
and been through lots of games and know how stuff works and can turn up
Yeah.
in the last 10 weeks of a season when they're a bit sore and do to do what they need to do. So yeah, totally agree.
It is something that Tim Sheens was 100% right about. You're not really a first grade. Unless you're an out and out superstar, you're not a first grader until you've played 50 first grade games.
Yep. Yep.
That's just so true, isn't it? I mean,
Yep.
you could say that about our friend Galvin at the Bulldogs, who has who has struggled and sort of found his way, and he's had to find it under the pressure of NRL, but he's sort of becoming a more consistent player for them now because he's getting to that point where he must be at about that 55 games. So it's something as fans that we've got to be more patient with guys because you can only get that first grade experience in first grade. But the other thing is we as a club have got to stop getting to the point where we've got 5 of our players in our starting team or in our 18 players that have all played like less than 10 games.
Yeah, totally agree. And I think that's, like sometimes you see this talk about, players left the Tigers and went on to be decent
Yeah,
first graders.
because they played
Well,
from 0 to 20, and
yes,
then they
we
played
let them go because we're like, they're
21 to
not great.
80. Yeah.
And then by the time they're 5 years older, yeah, of course
Mm.
they're decent first grade. If we'd held on them for 5, 4 years, they probably would have got there too. But
Yeah.
kind of go, we kind of go straight for you need too many 18-year-olds, and I
Mm.
think we're still a little bit in that kind of our. We saw this year kind of the backup was guys who were Jersey flag eligible in lots
Yeah.
of positions, and that's probably not a way to win a comp. You can have a couple and great young players coming
Yeah.
through, but you need some, as you said, 5 or 6 guys who come in and can do a job. So yeah.
Yeah, because of the guys that like were there this year, I'm thinking of guys like Maverick Guy, who probably only played 5 first grade games or something before he came here.
Charlie
Heath
Murray
Mason
hadn't
had
played
played
any. Yeah,
10. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly. We were ready to rely on guys that just weren't going to bring that NRL know-how.
yeah.
So hopefully that's something that we're working on behind the scenes. I mean, along those same lines, Junior Tupu, exactly the same. Again, very safe.
Been a highlight his coming to the club. Who would have thought that? I didn't think I'd ever say that, but he's played really well, runs hard. His hands have got like a much better than they were, a few years ago. But that's the point, isn't it? I mean, I know he hasn't played a great deal of first grade while he's been away from the Tigers, but he's had another 3 or 4 seasons. He's been at the Dolphins, he's been at the Roosters, he's done a few more off seasons. Like sometimes it's first grade, but like he's a little more experienced. He's not 19-year-old Luke Lally. He's 24-year-old Junior Tupou with 6 years of first grade squad and NRL training and again, that was a guy that, I mean, we didn't really choose to let him go, but it was a guy who, started with us, and he's now at that point where he probably is a decent first grader, and that's kind of that's probably another. Actually, to your point, that's probably another one where we have probably improved that depth, not necessarily on talent, but it's just on a little more experience. He's got 40-something first grade games. We need that kind of quality depth, and I think he'll be competing with Makasini, and I'd probably have Tupou at this stage in front for that position starting next year. So, and that's good. You should have competition for that position. So,
because the way that we've done what we've done to Makasini this year is not right.
No, it's not been good for him.
Has not been handled well. Same with Latu.
Yep.
And two guys with potentially massive futures that have come into first grade and been, by circumstance, walloped and then not being given the opportunity to sort of go and work on their game. And that's definitely a criticism. I thought Buller was a lot better, a lot more involved yesterday. Once again, very safe. Nice ball playing on a couple of our tries as well.
Yeah. And I think we created some more space for him with Madden as well. I think that's the team and the forwards. The forwards kind of put in, and I don't know if they're winning the battle, but they're at least holding their own in the middle, which creates space for your backs. And then Madden digging into the line created space for Buller. So, yeah.
We've spoken a bit about Jock Madden. His goal kicking, he couldn't get one, but he nailed it when it matters. It's sort of a Jock Madden kind of thing too, isn't it? Where he's normally a very good goal kicker. He was just off, but when it mattered, he stepped up. He was pretty cool, calm, and collected. And he's done that before. He did that. Remember, we won 2 games. Oh my goodness, it might have been 2021. I think both at CommBank. One was against Parramatta, one was against South. I think Brooks kicked one of the field goals, but I think Jock
kicked one at some stage. Yeah, I think so too. Look, I kind of forgive him his goal kicking. He has been out for quite a few weeks, and I imagine with the injury he had, probably wasn't doing a great deal of goal kicking. Like you went swinging the legs around too much over the 4 weeks. So perhaps that's just a little rustiness and a little nervousness about the legs. So, I'll give him credit. But he snapped that field goal, and he didn't look like missing. It wasn't a shonky, struggle over like we have seen, and they all get there. But he just hit that, and it looked clean from the moment he hit it. So, and it's what a halfback needs to do. Again, that's your job.
That's your job.
Get up there and knock them over. So, yep.
I think Nick put in the group chat, he was a little bit critical of West Tigers. We're the only club that would pick someone who's had that injury and tell them to go goal kicking. I wonder if that injury had something to do with. I thought his general play kicking was a little subpar. Like, I don't think he was hitting it particularly well and not getting a lot of ground. Jock Madden from his regular kicking game just wasn't quite on.
I think it would have. It's the same with the goal against it. Like, he probably hasn't kicked. Like, even when he's back, like, you probably not, it's not like that's not with that injury. You're not kicking and swinging your legs around probably more than you need to.
There's a lot of pulling and tearing.
That's what I mean. Yeah, it's not you're probably just doing light jogging a lot of the time, and and then you want to get into some contact, but the kicking was probably the last thing he was getting to. So I kind of go, well, that's probably, he did his job. He kicked it where he needed to. And perhaps that's just, getting back into it. Because I think he's usually, and got the biggest boot, but he's usually a bit better in general play kicking than that. And I kind of get that down to rustiness, like first game back for a while. So give him a little bit of leeway there, I reckon.
Just on the halves. I mean, I know we're not going to pick Luai if he's fit. Clearly, Benji's showing his hand there. Where do you think Latu gets a go this week?
If it was me, I would drop Jerome and put Jock and Latu.
But that's not going to happen, Josh.
it's not going to happen, and therefore Jock has to. I mean, depends if Latu's fit. Even it was a 1 to 2 week injury, so you probably don't want to rush him coming into the end of the season with no real purpose.
Especially hamstrings.
Hamstring, and they got a fly to North Queensland too. So
true.
I probably think he doesn't play. Maybe he plays the last game against the Panthers, where they're not going to drop Jerome for it either. But no, I'd probably stick. Well, I think Benji will probably stick with Jock and Jerome for the last couple of games, fitness permitting. Yeah, I think Latu after the hamstring injury, that's probably the thing that you probably don't bring him back to play 80 minutes at the end of the season without. And if you do, put him in cup, get him a cup. If he's going to come back, put him in cup. I think Andrews was injured over the weekend, so put him in cup and get him 2 games at halfback. Just get him playing halfback for 80 minutes. Don't put him on the bench for 10 minutes. Get him in cup and playing 80 minutes. So
and nowhere near hooker.
No, nowhere near hooker. No.
Speaking of hookers, Appy, just some of those moments, classic Appy Coruscant moments.
Just commitment, level of commitment to the club. Does it always work? Is his passing always perfect off the ground? Is it, it's not, but one of those sets he made, at least made/attempted 5 tackles in the set on our line. And he was shattered. You can see he was running on fumes in those last 10 minutes. He could hardly get his legs up and but even the 20-40 that didn't happen, it was that far off. And it was he was just doing whatever he could to drag us through that game. Love him. Absolutely love him. What a champion.
Alex Twal, I watched that replay a few times. I can't understand how he got so injured from that contact. It doesn't make sense.
Did he hit one of his, it was one of the Tigers he clashed? I can't see how he hit a Roosters player, so I think he must have hit the hip or something of a, but I couldn't quite see how it, but he came out covered in blood and, stumbling around, so he's obviously had a fair crack. 15 seconds into the game, I was like, Jesus.
Bad luck.
Yeah. Very bad luck.
The other Alex, we've got to give him a rap. Playing in the middle, he was very good.
I thought him and his front row partner, Fanua Pole, I thought they both had absolute rippers of games. Seyfarth did what Seyfarth does. He worked really, really hard. I mean, it was 100% effort for a lot of minutes. That strip near the end where he knocked the ball, the hand, but just a lot of, it is his game. And I get grumpy with him sometimes. I think we all do.
We all do.
We all do.
Sometimes for long periods of time.
You know what? I want a guy that puts in that much effort in your side because it makes everyone else in the team has to look around and go, well, I have more talent than that bloke. And he's working twice as hard as I am. So maybe I should, get off my ass and work hard too. So, credit to him. He had an absolute ripper. And he's had a few good, he's had a good finish to the season so far. So I thought, and his front row partner, Fanua Pole, Joel, I thought he's
Fantastic.
Been almost player of the year this year. And he was again, it's the runs, but then he gets a quick play the ball off the, our good play comes off the back of his runs. That is where we're now at. Is Fanua Pole as the guy who sets us up for plays. So, amazing.
Can we please get Spencer Leniu?
Oh yeah.
He'd be a great addition.
Fair. It would be a great addition. Yeah.
Have we found the recipe with Terrell May? Less minutes, run him off the bench. Do we start?
He was on after 35 seconds, John. I'm not sure that's.
I know. But I think that makes sense. That we are overutilizing him. He is. I know he can do it, but I think you get more quality if it's shorter stints. If two 25-minute stints.
Yeah, I think you could. There's probably you need to be playing around the 55, as you said, 50 to 60 minutes. I think you want to get that out because I think that leaves you 20 minutes from whoever the bench prop is, but or whoever starts and then he comes on after 20. But look, I also think I know when the Doueihi stuff happened, Terrell May wasn't at training that day, and they said because he's on a restricted training because of injury, so he's probably carrying some injuries. And also, he's just had a new baby. And I remember when I'd had a new baby, I was half asleep every day. So the fact that he's still playing first grade is quite impressive. I thought he was good, and I think probably playing his old team and also Benji dropping him to the bench probably put a bit of a rocket up him, and probably
much needed.
A little bit deserved. Yeah.
So next year we're going to start with the two Alexes as the starting props.
I don't think I'll quite go that far. No.
Okay.
No. I don't know exactly where that's going to land, but no, I wouldn't quite go that far.
Do you think Alex Seyfarth has a possibility of putting on some more size?
I think if he would have, he could have by now. I think Locke is his best. Like he was best. He wasn't really playing prop. Like Terrell May came on and played prop, and I think Locke is Seyfarth's best position. And I think it's probably like, if anything, if I'm going to play one of them, I'd probably have Twal in the front row, and like if you got to play both of them in one team, I'd have Twal in the front row and Seyfarth at lock, because I think he's just not quite big enough for playing prop. But I think at lock, and he probably has a little bit better passing game than Twal. I'm not sure either of them are typical locks, but I just want him in the 17 mainly, Alex. So keep him around. So I don't know where you play him. You just fill the gaps. Wherever there's gaps, you just put him in there. I think that's how it happens.
Yeah. I mean, the world looks different too when you got Kai Pearce-Paul back on that right edge, and Samuela I thought was very good.
Oh yeah, I mean he is just very good, isn't he? And he's kind of probably got his fitness back after a couple of weeks coming back. I think he's looked better every week. It just takes a little while to warm into it. And as you said, Tony Sukkar, I think last couple of weeks he is really showing something, which I think, like I've watched him a fair bit in New South Wales Cup this year. He's been better at that level than he was the year before. Like he looks too good for that level when he's down playing in Cup. He just looks a bit stronger and a bit more damaging than the other blokes out there. And I think he's had a real crack in his games with us this year. Like he's played a lot of minutes and he's had some games that haven't been perfect, but I think he's probably, what has he only played? He's played 23 games now.
Yeah.
He's starting to get there, and that's probably what you expect. Like sometimes I think that, as you said, unless you're an elite talent, you're not coming in and being good first up. But you get 20 games, you start to get a little bit better. Maybe he plays the season off the bench next year mainly and fills in for injury. But I think he's a good second rower. Like if I look at next year, I'd be happy with him coming in and playing, 10 games again, or coming off the bench every week for when needed or that kind of thing. So,
Yeah, I mean, the chances are at some stage next year, one of the two starting second rowers will be out of action.
I mean, that's why there's been someone else generally in the back row, be it Sione. But I think we've seen in the last couple of weeks, Sukkar in the back row is better than Sione Fainu being in the back row. So, yeah.
All right, Cowboys in Townsville, Saturday night, 7:35. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it. The team announced tomorrow, and the midweek pod will be along as well. As always, plenty of places to leave your opinion and thoughts in the West Tigers podcast forum. And if you could hit a subscribe if you're watching on YouTube, that would be appreciated. Josh, thank you very much. And
thank you, Joel. What a great week for it.
Post-victory editions are a lot more fun, aren't they?
So much better. So much better.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joel.
Whoa! Whoa!